Hello.
Welcome. Right, today we are going to be looking at the G-Series line by Caline. We're looking at the entire line with some sound samples today. So let's get into the video.
So this was one of mine, and I quite like this. It's not like a drippy, wet sort of reverb that's trying to emulate a spring or anything along those lines. It's more studio-esque. It's not the highest quality, but it's not like bottom of the pack either. It sits exactly where you'd expect it to, which I quite liked about it because it is pretty cool. The mix, you can get it really, really wet, and if you turn the tone up, you're getting shimmery sort of tones. So yeah, I quite like that.
Fabulous.
Not
That
bad at
tone
all.
controls really, it brings in like a harmonic overtone as well, doesn't it? So it's almost like a kind of faux shimmer without the kind of the cheap feeling shimmer that you get from stuff like the Moore Shimverb, for example.
Yeah, exactly that. Right. Do you want to move on to the next one, which is one of the shining examples of the pack?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Nice.
There there you go. You get to hear the Orca chorus in full swing. You might even notice what I was being inspired by there, because this has got some really lush kind of 80s tones. So you can get those really cool kind of big expansive chorus tones. It's got a much fatter sound than a lot of the cheaper choruses. So it gives you that really kind of really wide sounding chorus, but you can also dial back to get some real subtle tones as well. So it's got
Yeah.
a load. It's got a load in there.
Yeah, it reminded me of CE2 quite abruptly, if you know what I mean. But it was really good. Should we
Yeah,
crack
it's
on?
never a bad place to be, is it? Yeah,
No, it's my favourite chorus. It is amazing. Next one.
indeed. Yeah, let's go for it.
So I had a bit of fun with that one because it's got the five modes on it. I did loop on it and then just went between them, and that was nice. It was interesting to have the different clipping modes. Of the five, I found the last mode to have the most over the top boost in comparison to the others. But you can hear when I did the clean tone of it, it really does make a big difference to your tone. And add a
Yeah,
lot of extra harmonics and really kick the tubes into clipping. So yeah, it was very very nice indeed.
that's really cool. We've got another boost coming up as well. So when you do hear that one, I want to hear in those comments which one is your favourite out of those two boosts,
Yeah,
because we've got a little bit of a fight going on here with the series, which is the better boost.
yeah, the better boost. All right, next one. Okay.
This is a compressor that I was really excited to share with you guys. Um, so it's got your standard controls that you'd expect on a compressor. It's got your attack and sustain to kind of dial in the amount of squishiness that you get. You've also got the level, which is, I believe, like a mix control, but you've also got this fourth control, which is a saturation control, which to my ear, when you crank that up, it adds like a graininess and a grittiness to the tone, which makes it sound kind of lo-fi and almost kind of like classic compressor sounding. So you can dial in the kind of the mojo of the compressor by really cranking that saturation, and that's what I did in this sound example as well.
You normally do that with an input control, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this actually is. It is an input control into the compressor, and then it adds that little bit of hang on a minute, you're pushing me too hard, and it's starts breaking up.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a breakup, but it's a kind of like a graininess to the tone. But it's something that I haven't seen on a compressor at this price point, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I look forward to actually trying that one because it's one of the ones I haven't tried yet, and I really love compressors. So could be
go for it, man. Go
could
for
be
it.
a gem. The next boost. So yeah, this was, for my intentions, more along the lines of like an overdrive. It does increase your volume, but not that much. It is more like a lead tone pedal more than it is an overall volume boost. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it would tally up nicely with an already overdriving amp. The the tone on it was more like harmonics. It didn't seem to do that much, but it was in a very specific place, which I think if you're into a really high gaining overdriving amp, it will work really, really nicely.
So what we might do when we do the full demos on these, because this is just an overview video showing you kind of the first look and some tonal examples. We're going to do full videos on this. We might use that to like push like an already saturating pedal or an already saturating amp, almost like you would with a DOD 250 or like a Distortion Plus.
Yeah,
To add that like extra sizzle to the amp.
I think that's kind of where they're going, really.
So actually, talking about that, you probably could be justified to own both of those boosts. One as like a to add grit and gain to it, and one as a pure lead boost, like a level boost.
Yeah, could do.
That'd be really cool.
Next up, we have an analog delay. So, what did you think?
So this is another one of those pedals where there's a duality in the lineup as well. So this is the analog one, and a little bit later on we'll be talking about the Parrot. Is it that's the digital? And again, I want to hear which one you think is the better one. For my money, I really love an analog delay, and this is no bells and whistles. There's no like tap tempo or like subdivisions, but it does exactly what you expect it to do. And as you heard from the same example, with a little bit of finesse, you can get some really cool like dotted sounds, and you can get that kind of like almost like Andy Summers sound to it. I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, could do with a modulation control, couldn't it? That'd be nice.
Oh, that would take it to the next level, I reckon.
The nth degree. Great playing as well, man. Got to say.
Oh, cheers.
Right. Okay. Next one. So that was unexpected. At the lower sustains, it is more overdrivey, more distortiony, I should say. But as you get it
Yeah,
right up, hence why you can see I had the controls. All the pictures that you see here are showing you what settings we had as well. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and what we've got here is when you turn it all the way up, it is doing, the fuzz sound. Um, it's a lot of fun. But
yeah.
let's admit, all the best fuzzes sound the best when you turn it all the way up. So
You see, for my money, I found it was, I preferred the tone when you were kind of halfway through it because of that almost like vintage sounding distortion, where it's a little bit treble boostery, a little bit kind of like gritty, like overloading a channel in a mixer kind of tone, and it really nails that. But then you say you push it up and you can get those big saturated tones as well. So there's a lot of versatility in this fuzz pedal, which you don't tend to find too much with cheaper fuzz pedals.
yeah, I will say as well, like it's one of the only fuzzes I've found where the sustain knob is actually a sustain knob because the sustain knob doesn't really do anything to the overall distortion until right at the end.
Yeah,
But if you're holding a note and you've got it turned down, it literally, as you turn it up, will start sustaining you further, and more so than you'd expect on a big muff or anything. And I would expect this to be like a big muff sounding fuzz, but it wasn't. It didn't really. It is a little bit in big muffs kind of are like distortions, but it's got its own thing going on, you know.
yeah, it's a lot grittier than a big muff. I find big muffs are really kind of smooth, like smooth tones,
I
and
think
this
that
had more of
depends
like,
on the big muff you get. If you went for like an op amp one or something along those lines, it will be no. If you went for like a triangle muff, it will be more like this because they are more distortiony.
okay, cool.
Yeah, it is true. We know when people say, "Oh, like all the TS9s sound different, all the tube screamers sound different." Actually, all big muffs do sound different.
Well, I mean, if you stick around, you'll get to see what their take on the green overdrive is actually, and
Well,
it
it's
might actually
coming up
surprise you.
right now. Very well done. Well, you nailed that segue, didn't you? You didn't even know that was coming up, did
Absolutely,
you?
absolutely, yeah. So,
Brilliant.
like, I put off playing this one because I thought it's a green drive. It's got three knobs. It's gonna be tube screamer based, isn't it? And I've played enough tube screamers to know what a tube screamer sounds like. This actually is a little different. So it's not quite as mid humpy as a tube screamer. And if you look at the settings on the stream there, you'll see the gain's actually pushed pretty high. But
Hmm.
in the example, it was still really dynamic, and there was still not a whole bunch of gain left. So it was it's not as gainy as you'd expect from a tube screamer, and there's not as much of a mid hump. But it's a really cool sound. It's kind of somewhere sitting between that kind of transparent and mid hump. So maybe the kind of territory that you'd find like a Boss OD3, maybe something like that, or the SD one, where they're kind of a little bit more transparent than they are mid hump.
Not Klon sort of territory because it's like the Klon is less mid humpy. Well, the mid hump is in a different place, isn't it? But not that sort of tone.
No, it's definitely a lower mid focus because the Klon's right at that kind of upper mid peak where you get that kind of clarity um, frequency. It's not that.
Yeah.
There's definitely a thickening agent to it because I was running it through
Cornstarch. That's what they should have
yeah,
called it. The cornstarch.
yeah, the cornstarch. Yeah, I was running it through single coils, like Strat single coils, and they can sound kind of. I mean, they've got that mid dip kind of tone. Strat single coils have.
Yeah.
So this kind of even that out quite a bit.
Okay.
But it was not quite as forceful as the tube screamer. So I
Okay.
really liked it.
So up next, we promised it a bit earlier, is the digital delay, the Parrot. I really like this. This for me was I think it was the star of the ones that I tried because we did 6 each,
Yeah.
and it inspired like of that piece that I played there, which was kind of like a bit unusual, um, and you know, I'm not sure whether I liked it or not, but that's what it inspired. But anything that inspires me to write something different is great. So yeah, I really liked it. It was quite easy to dial in.
Yeah, yeah, and like when you played it back, you could hear those repeats were really pristine. Like it's got that definite kind of hi-fi delay kind of tone to it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And this is the only one as well that's got a different coloured knob. So if you go back in the stream and check out the other pedals, you'll see that they all have the black knobs on, and this is the only one that has the red ones.
Yeah, maybe it's sore. Right. Okay. So next up, we've got one of the ones that I wanted to do, and you'd done already because he did his and then said, "Okay, this is what's left," including obviously 2 boosts. I was like, "Thanks, mate." But this was one that I really wanted to do. So here we go. So, tremolos. Tremolos are amazing.
Indeed. This is potentially my pick of the lot. It's either this one or my final one that are my pick of the entire G-Series line. This one is it's like tremolo in and of itself kind of adds a movement to a tone. So if you've got like a clean tone that's just a little bit sterile, slap a tremolo on it and it just gives you that kind of interest in your tone. And this doesn't fail with that. It completely hits the right note. Everything kind of under halfway is the sweet spot for it. Is like the subtle bits. But if you want to get that like real super choppy sound as well, you can get that out of this. And it goes quite extreme. So we'll definitely be showcasing that in the video, like the full video that we do for it as well, which I'm bagsying here because I want to do that one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't blame you. We'll answer all the questions in the once we've done it. We'll come in and give you some answers in that. Right. So next up we have this one was pretty cool actually. Let's have a look at it. So the question is, does it chug?
And I think we can safely say it does.
Yeah, do you know what? It's not gonna be the most high gain overdrive you play, right? So I don't want people buying this and expecting that they're going to get the tones of what I got at the end there without working really, really hard at it, because it took me a few goes to get those chugs in. And when I first started playing this, I was like, oh, come on, I want more from it. And I really did. But that's because I'm used to playing like a Kraken and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
and it is a great distortion in its own right. It's got a lot of tone to it, and it's got a little bit of transparency to it as well. Like you can hear the difference between the guitars, which most distortions kind of like saturate that to the point of no return.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, like especially the kind of budget end as well. You
mm,
find a lot of that kind of like compression and squish makes it so that your guitars are almost indistinguishable, and the notes as well are like your note definition just isn't there. Whereas
yeah,
this one was really kind of really tight sounding, so it didn't have that kind of flubby bottom end, and you
yeah,
got like
yeah.
note definition as well.
You can see that I had the low mid down a little bit and the treble up a little bit to try and get those tones. What I would say for people buying this is if you want an old school sounding distortion, if you want to get like if you want to get like an Iron Maiden, old Judas Priesty sort of thing, then this is going to be the one to get because they're obviously using like overdrives into high driving amps already. You
Yeah,
know, so this is going to get you that sort of tone. It's not going to get you like metal zone sort of
yeah,
tones and that sort of thing.
yeah, kind of modern tones, quote unquote modern tones.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
That brand new
maybe
pedal, the metal zone.
yeah, but maybe running like one of the boosts from the G series into the Tiger Eye, like running it hot into that will really push the saturation.
Yeah, with like the digital delay after it as well, and just like just to get that sort of like wicked sort of modern tone, that would work really really well.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd like that.
This is something that we like. If you want to hear it in the demos, like hit us down in those comments because like we've not recorded the demo like the full demos for these yet, and we'll be releasing those over the next couple of weeks and months. So if there's something that you definitely want to hear with it, like this being hit with the say with the overdrive or with the boosts, let us know and we'll see what we can do and get those in the videos.
Yep. So we've got one more for you, and it's quite a special one. I mean, I can't believe you took the vibrato and the tremolo. It's just you modulation fiend.
But I tried them out and they were so good. Like they were so good. So with vibrato, it's quite a difficult effect to use without making it sound
Seasick.
too over the top. Yeah, it's because you get those seasick tones, and they are definitely within this. Like if you crank that rate and crank the depth and the mix, you can get those seasickening tones. If you go more towards the subtle side, so if you have a look on the settings on this, you'll see the rate and depth are really low, and the mix is kind of like a third to give that beautiful shimmery tone that adds kind of again like with the tremolo where you're adding that interest on top of your kind of sterile clean tone. This is what that's perfect for.
Do you know, it's
But
interesting that they put a mix on this and not on the tremolo.
yes, yeah, yeah. But I don't know. I don't find that I missed it. Whereas with this one, you can get those kind of chorusy tones if you're really really subtle with the mix. But you can also go the complete opposite way and you can almost get an indistinguishable tone where you've got such a vast modulation.
Whoa. Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, vibrato is it can be one of the best effects and one of the worst if it's really used. Like, depends what you want to get out of it, really. But yeah, it can be a bit of a monster at times.
Absolutely. And this, like it says, it's like a wolf. It's an absolute snarling beast, but it can be tamed with those three controls. They are absolutely ideal for getting those really, really lush kind of vibrato tones.
So for you, this was the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, either that or the tremolo. I'm still on the fence whether like which one. I think like either or both might actually find their way onto my board. So
So
we'll see.
those two were your picks of the bunch, were they?
Indeed. How about yourself? What did you find that you were gravitating towards?
I was the parrot. The parrot was let's bring that one up then. So the parrot there
Yeah.
was, you know, that was the one I really gravitated to. That was really nice. And after playing with it for a while, it was the distortion. I really like that. It was
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I did eventually end up quite liking the reverb as well. So the Barnell, which was the first one we did.
Yeah.
Um, I, I I know that like some people we were talking to didn't really get on with it that well because they were expecting maybe a more organic or natural sounding reverb, whereas it's just like this is a reverb tone if you just want a reverb tone, and it's not trying to be anything else. And I found that I could get that sort of like interesting. Here, I'm adding something to your tone without trying to be the tone.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that so this is our kind of quick run through of the lineup. If you've liked what you've seen today, make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button because it really, really helps the channel out. We're going to put up a video up here somewhere, other side, is it? Oh, that it was that side. So we're going to put a video up here that we're going to suggest as something to carry on watching because we've got some absolutely fab content on our channel, which you should absolutely be checking out. And thank you for joining in. And if you've got any questions, bump them down in the comments below and we will answer them as best as we can. So
Lovely.
cheers for watching today.
Yeah, thanks everyone. See